Chapter 21. Several days had passed since Kappa 16's plantation had been liberated. There had been a respectful funeral for Stephanie's mother, the augments had been sent away to fend for themselves, the poison gas around several slave domes had been released, and the outer wall that had been blasted became the new entrance for the farm. The agricultural power of this plantation was impressive, and Daniel hoped they might be able to send other struggling individuals here to survive. Access to weapons and training had caused all able-bodied workers to take on side jobs as soldiers in the likely event that demon worshippers or other augments came to steal from them. Lucas had identified Stephanie's key as the key of prophecy, but aside from the glowing, she had not been able to get anything from it. Lucas felt some responsibility for the death of Stephanie's mother, since his strategy had not protected her, even though Stephanie did not blame him. Stephanie was anxious to capture and kill Row 82, though. Lucas modified some of Kappa 16's computer systems and displays to create a small tablet that allowed Stephanie to type messages and have them read aloud by the computer. The gift cheered her up, and she immediately began modifying it with her own custom keyboard attachments and battery backups. Lucas was greatly impressed with her engineering skills and loved to see her expand it. Eventually everyone gathered together to decide what to do next. "Kill Row 82, said Stephanie through the digital voice of her computer. There were several nods of agreement. "He has been one of the biggest problems for us," said Jonathan supportively. Stephanie smiled with gratitude. "We aren't on a vendetta," said Daniel angrily. "I express my sorrow for the loss of your mother, Stephanie, and I agree that it was a terrible crime. But even Row 82's life has a purpose. We are protectors of life." Stephanie pressed her lips together angrily, even though she found his point persuasive after having lived so long in a place with no respect for life. "Do you know where the next key is, Lucas?" asked Sig. "Yes," said Lucas. "It's in a cooler area, a mountain cave." The words mountain cave seemed to echo in Stephanie's mind. She turned around and saw herself in a dark place. She realized that things appeared to have a blue glow to them, and that she must be having a vision. The slight blue glow began to highlight stalactites and stalagmites all around. There were rushing streams and spots where water dripped as far as she could see. The rock formations revealed large caves and cliffs. She could tell intuitively that this was the mountain cave to which Lucas was referring. The excitement that came from the knowledge her divine key was giving her unique insight was almost overwhelming to her. Her mother had talked about the power of the keys, and that one day their power would be used again. Her elation was quickly removed as she saw Row 82 walk into the cave. She wanted to rush down and slash his throat, just as he had done to her mother. She realized that she could not move from the small area in which she stood except to turn around. Helpless to exact her revenge, she breathed heavily as she watched him slowly enter the cave. Lucas suddenly appeared from an unseen portion of the cave. Stephanie wanted to scream out to Lucas to warn him about Row 82, but to her surprise, Lucas already seemed aware of the augment. "Here, you'll be needing this," said Lucas to Row 82. He stretched out his hand. Stephanie looked to see what he was offering, but her view was obstructed. "Stephanie?" said Lucas. She shook her head apologetically as she realized that the vision had come to a conclusion. Sweat had beaded up on her forehead, but her skin felt cold. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded. "All right then," said Sig. "We move out tomorrow." Various members of the group began to leave the room to prepare for the journey. Lucas began searching for equipment in Kappa 16's former surveillance room. Sig and Victor picked up ammunition in the armory. Jennifer snuck away to take a nap, while Kirana and Jonathan sharpened their weapons. Lizard and Daniel worked on repairing and cleaning their coats in anticipation of moisture in a cave. Stephanie sat alone to try to make sense of what she had seen. Prophecy. The word rattled around in her mind as if it were tangible as a ball bouncing off of walls. She could not shake the idea that she had seen something that would happen. She was afraid to make anyone aware of what she had seen, for fear of being thought of as crazy. Part of her wanted to say that what she saw was a twisted, horrible figment of imagination. Deep inside, though, she knew she had seen something that would happen in the future. She had seen a prophecy. She wondered if there was a way to prevent something from happening. Was she seeing destiny? Was she seeing a possibility? Was it a warning of something that could be avoided? Was it wisdom to avoid it? Her head spun with questions. Why would Lucas so casually be giving something to their enemy? Where was his anger? She thought about the words that Lucas had spoken. Here, you'll be needing this. The more she thought about it, the more confident she felt that something was supposed to happen. The feelings she had learned to trust began to well up inside her. Instead of giving her valuable insight, her feelings told her that Row 82 needed help, and that she should help him. She dismissed the sickening thought from her mind and rushed out of the room. Jennifer was happy to get a bit of rest. She had not been anxious to leave at all. For a moment, the nagging feeling of being late for something had all but disappeared. She found a quiet place in the guard quarters, got in a bed, and closed her eyes. It was not long before consciousness faded. In her dream, she found herself in a room with 3 individuals. One was a very old man in a long white cloak. There was also an average-sized man with blonde hair and green eyes in a long dark coat. Next to him was a woman who was very thin and had long brown hair that covered the sides of her face, with long bangs that covered her forehead. It seemed she was hiding under her hair. She suddenly saw a 4th person walk into the room. "Hello, Jennifer," said the old man. "I knew you were coming." The 4th person stepped into the room, and Jennifer recognized that she was seeing herself. Suddenly a familiarity came over her. She knew the other people in the room as well. The old man was named Aaron, the young man was Max, and the woman was Amanda. "Aaron Pratt," said Jennifer's other self. "I can never surprise you." The old man laughed softly. Max rolled his eyes. "What is it that is so important?" asked Max. He obviously felt as if he were being detained. "Oh, right," said Aaron. "I called you here." Max rubbed his temples as though he could massage the virtue of patience into himself. "You know, there is a mountain cave in the west," said Aaron. His raspy voice and slow speech added to the impression that the man was not entirely in possession of his faculties. "It is mostly blue, but then again everything is blue sometimes." "Again with the blue?" asked Max impatiently. "Let him finish, Max," said Jennifer's other self. "Why are you always in a hurry?" "Why are you always late?" asked Max in a condescending tone. "I'm not always late," said Jennifer's other self angrily. "I'm sorry, who was the last one here for a meeting that the nutcase called 15 minutes ago?" Max asked. Jennifer's other self frowned. "Sorry to have caused a delay," said Jennifer's other self at last. She turned to Aaron. "You may continue." "The Rocky Mountains," said Aaron slowly. "There is a large system of caves that has developed in the Rocky Mountains." "There are caves all over the Rocky Mountains," said Max impatiently. "Maybe you could be more specific, Aaron?" asked Amanda softly. "Amanda Madsen," said Aaron in a surprised tone. "I'm glad you're here. This applies to you too." "Yes, you called me here," said Amanda with a frown. "Did I?" asked Aaron in a confused tone. "So about the Rocky Mountains?" prompted Max as he rubbed his forehead. "Oh, yes," said Aaron. "Something will happen inside the caves." There was a long pause. Jennifer and her other self yawned as they waited for him to continue. "What will happen?" asked Amanda at last. "Amanda Madsen," said Aaron in a surprised tone. "I'm glad you're here. This applies to you too." "You already said that," shouted Max angrily. "Max Gray," said Aaron. "Thank goodness you've come. I have something I need to warn you about." "Let me guess," said Max. "Is it in the Rocky Mountains?" "My goodness, son," said Aaron. "I thought I had the key of prophecy." "What's going to happen?" asked Max impatiently.
"Oh, right," said Aaron. "Well, that's where the next betrayal will occur."
The room became awkwardly silent.
"And Max, and you too, Amanda, will be killed," said Aaron.
"Wait, are you saying that I'm the traitor?" asked Jennifer's other self in an upset tone. "I'm not like Joshua."
"Oh, yes, Joshua Beckman," said Aaron. "He will betray the council and kill Peter Kingsley."
"That already happened," said Max angrily. "That was a year ago."
"Oh, I remember now," said Aaron.
Suddenly his voice grew more earnest, and though Max and Amanda and her other self seemed uninterested in what Aaron said, the words stuck in her mind.
"The one that will slice the moon in half and bring perpetual ice and fire will come to the cave. Your powers cannot save you. If you go, you will die."
There was a pause as Jennifer eagerly anticipated what he would say next.
"Forgive me," said Aaron.
There was another pause. "I'm probably going to regret this, but forgive you for what?" asked Max.
"I have to pee," said Aaron.
He got up and left the room. "Well, that was a waste of time," said Max as he began leaving. "Wait, Max," said Amanda as she hurried to catch up to him. "I think we should get something to eat." "I am hungry," said Max. "That sounds good." The two of them left the room. Jennifer's other self looked around, and when she was sure no one was looking, she sat in a nearby recliner and kicked back. Jennifer laughed as she watched herself stretch out and prepare for a nap. She knew that she probably should have been trying to help Drew more. Things had seemed scattered after Peter had been killed and Erica had retired.
"Jennifer?"
came the raspy voice from down the hall. Aaron Pratt came back into the room. A length of toilet paper stuck to his cloak, making him appear even less credible.
asked Jennifer's other self from the recliner. "They aren't listening, are they?" asked Aaron.
"No," said Jennifer softly. "They're gone." There was a pause as Aaron considered this.
"Then it's up to you," said Aaron at last.
His voice again seemed sober, but Jennifer's other self did not notice the look in his old eyes. Although she realized she was dreaming, she felt something compelling about Aaron's face. It was as though he were speaking to her and not to her other self.
"Jennifer?"
said Aaron again. Jennifer looked back to her other self and realized she had fallen asleep.
"Jennifer Cedar?"
asked Aaron. His voice had a hint of despair. She wanted to wake herself up, but she knew she did not have that ability. She turned back to Aaron and noticed that he was looking directly at her. "What are you trying to say, Aaron?" asked Jennifer.
"Oh, good, you're still here," said Aaron.
"Can you see me?" asked Jennifer.
"Of course," replied Aaron in confusion. "Why wouldn't I be able to? I'm not senile, you know."
"I'm sorry, Aaron," said Jennifer, who was still amazed to be having a conversation in her dream.
"It's fine," said Aaron. "Just remember, when you go to the cave, there are 3 traitors."
"What does that mean?" asked Jennifer.
"One with good intentions," answered Aaron. "One with no intentions, and one with evil intentions."
"How will I know them?" asked Jennifer.
You're the only one that can," said Aaron. "How will I know them? Foolish question. Now a better question. Have you ever heard of a girl named Stephanie Mason?"
"Stephanie Mason!" exclaimed Jennifer. "Now how would you know that name?"
"The key of prophecy works a little different,"
mumbled Aaron as he turned and walked away. "Hang on," said Jennifer. She sat up with a start to find herself alone in her bed. She was out of breath and sweat had beaded up on her forehead. She closed her eyes and slowed her breathing. "It's just a dream." She repeated the phrase in her mind over and over. Of course, the more she thought about the traitors and the Council of 9 with whom she had worked, and the way that Aaron had looked at her so intently, the idea that it was a meaningless dream became less and less believable.